Hello there, this is Big Jim with Big Jim's Bow Company. I'm here to try to help you figure out what your actual draw length is. You see lots of advice given online on social medias on different forums and whatnot. And although the advice for figuring draw length is not bad, it's not nearly as accurate as if you were to do a dynamic measurement of the draw length, which means getting your draw length while you're actually shooting. So there are ways that can get you in the ballpark, but they're very inaccurate at times. So they talk about measuring tip to tip, subtract this and that, divide by 2, whatever. But if your posture is different, then that's not going to be accurate. It'll be 2 or 3 inches different. Typically, traditional shooters will have a draw length of inch and a half, 2 inches shorter than what they would with a compound. And a big reason for that is that their posture suffers for some reason. They feel they need to lean into a trad bow in order to shoot well. So a static measurement might be as if you were to draw inside the house and have somebody mark the arrow for you at the back side of the bow, the farthest part away from your face, the back side of the bow, and marking the arrow, and then measuring it from the throat of the nock to that mark. That's one way of doing it. The problem is that as you stand inside and try to emulate how you might shoot at a target, you aren't aiming at the target and you have no intentions of shooting that arrow, and the chances are it's not going to be that accurate. Unfortunately, as humans, we're not perfect, so our draw length will fluctuate just a little bit, quarter to a half an inch. If the weight of your bow is too heavy, your draw length will be shorter. If you can't manage the weight, and over time, as you get comfortable with it, it'll get longer. So things change. Once you figure it out, it's not set in stone. The best way to determine your draw length is to actually get out and shoot at a target and have somebody watch you while you're shooting. You can make marks on the arrow, different colors, size, lengths, whatever, and then they can estimate how much of the arrow is sticking out past the bow, and then you can subtract it from the total length and figure it out that way. But that'll tell you how long your draw length is while you're shooting. If I get measured in the house, use a postcard or a playing card, put it on there, draw it back, and it slides to where I think my draw length is at, or somebody marks the arrow for me while I'm at full draw, but I'm not actually aiming and having no intention of shooting the arrow, I have a different mindset going on. I'm probably going to be standing more upright, and that will give me a longer draw length. But if I'm at full draw and I just tip my head a little bit, I can lose an inch, inch and a half of draw length just by tipping my head. Everything else being equal. Bring my head back up to where I would normally shoot, and my draw length comes back. Tip my head, straighten it up, changes my draw length considerably. If I'm getting my measurement checked, and I think for whatever reason that I stand like this and shoot, but I go out to shoot the target and I go to my normal way of shooting and I lean into it more aggressively, I can lose 2-3 inches of draw length. If I bring my shoulder around, I'll lose more draw length. And although we might think we know what we shoot like or stand like, when we're actually shooting, we're thinking about it, and it can be two entirely different things. So the best way to get your accurate draw length measurement is to have somebody watch you shoot and determine how much arrow is sticking out past the bow. Subtract that from the total length. Draw length is really only important to determine what kind of poundage you've got and how to figure out what kind of arrows to order online if you don't have a way of testing them out. It is what it is. Don't be disappointed if it's shorter than what you think it is. But, again, if you call me up, for instance, call our office up and say, hey, I've got a 29-inch draw length and I have this kind of bow, what arrow would you recommend? You really have a 27.5-inch draw length. Can't tell you how often I've seen that. People try as they might and they get an inaccurate number, and then anything we try to suggest to them doesn't work out quite right. Reasons for figuring out what your accurate draw length is. For those of you out there who are just getting started and have no idea what your draw length is, don't have a bow, really don't know where to get started, it's a dangerous thing to go on Facebook or one of those other social media platforms and ask a bunch of questions. Most of those people are attempting to be very helpful, but they don't know you or necessarily anybody else or what else you might need. The best thing to do is find a professional, send an email to them, and see if you can get a response from them to try to figure out what type of equipment is going to work best for you, and something that's more affordable, so you aren't throwing a bunch of money away to get started. That'll generally sour you right off the bat. So it's an extremely enjoyable sport, whether you hunt or not. A lot of guys are just, and gals are just target shooters, never have any intention of hunting, and then there's the rest of us that are big into hunting and or target shooting. So give a professional a call. It goes a long ways. Check us out at all the typical social media platforms or at bigjimsbowcompany.com. Have a good day.